Hello and welcome to episode 397 of the official EstablishTheRun.com podcast. My name is Adam Levitan. I am one of the co-founders here at ETR, and we're coming off of a Zach Wilson is our king kind of week. Yes, that's right. For those of you who missed it, we had an all-time story break, a couple weeks ago. And you can certainly read more about this online, but I'll try to give the cliff notes here really quickly. Basically, Zach Wilson, Jets quarterback, and his longtime girlfriend, who, by the way, is some outrageously hot young woman from Utah. I believe her name is Abby Gilly or something like that. Well, apparently, Zach Wilson and Abby Gilly, or Gill, well, they broke up. No big deal, as expected. But then it was revealed through social media investigations and later confirmed through pictures that Wilson's ex, Abby, quickly moved on to Dax Milne. We, of course, know Dax Milne from hashtag Team Preseason, where he was, borderline playable a couple times last August as a 7th round pick of the Washington football team. So, okay, Zach Wilson and his girlfriend break up. She moves on to another football player, whatever. I guess that's interesting, but who really cares? However, college football fans, well, they know that Dax Milne was Zach Wilson's favorite target on the field as they played together at BYU from 2018 to 2020. And in 2020, Milne popped off, no pun intended, for 70 catches, 1,188 yards, and 8 touchdowns from Zach Wilson. And off the field, they're reportedly best friends. Now we're cooking with gas, baby. Wilson's longtime girlfriend, since they were teenagers, outrageously sexy, breaks up with the 2021 number 2 overall pick and immediately winds up in the throes of passion with his former number 1 wideout and best bro. I maybe that's a bit fucked up. I don't know the story, whatever, but I'm intrigued. Not enough to really care, but I'm intrigued. But that's where the story gets wild. So people are giving Abby, the ex-girlfriend, shit about this on social media. She responds by saying something to the effect of, oh, well, actually, Zach Wilson is the scumbag. He was cheating on me with his mom's best friend. Let me repeat that. She alleges that Zach Wilson is the scumbag because he was cheating on her with his mom's best friend. Oh, baby. Now we are cooking with gas. Now we have a full-blown MILF hunter narrative on our hands. And the question to me is clear. If you are a Jets fan or a fantasy football player, do you A, think this is bad for Zach Wilson's outlook as he seemingly makes bad choices, like piping his mom's best friend, allegedly? Or B, do you think this is a good sign for Zach Wilson? I'm sure there are a ton of bros out there who want the intercourse with mom's friends, but I suspect the execution rate, the win rate on that, the hit rate on that is infinitesimal. But Zach Wilson pulled it off. This is the kind of moxie I need out of my quarterback. That's the counter argument. So I don't really know. I just hope that Wilson and the Jets are relevant this year so we can get some more good jokes and some more good laughs. So many people sending me photoshops of the MILF Hunter's face onto Zach Wilson's body in a Jets uniform. It's just so good, man. So we'll be tracking that story closely here at Gender Labs. Anyway, I want to spend most of today's show on listener questions, but quickly want to touch on a couple more things before that. First, you may have seen that Matthew Berry left ESPN. I think it's tough to measure the impact that Matthew Berry had on fantasy football. And I don't mean takes or strategy or rankings or whatever. I mean, bringing this game, the game that we love, to the masses. Because, let's be honest, Tom from accounting is really unlikely to have ever heard of me and probably wouldn't like me either. It's just, too hardcore, I think. But you better believe Tom from accounting has heard of Matthew Berry. I highly doubt anyone has had a bigger impact on promoting the game. Much like Dalen Negreanu in poker. A huge reason that there are so many poker games for us to play in is because of Dalen Negreanu. And it's the same with Matthew. ESPN is just such a massive platform, reaches so many people, and he did such a good job of making fantasy football fun and unintimidating and just a game to play with your friends. Of course, I am deranged and sick. I don't play fantasy for fun. I play to win at all costs and, suck the fucking life out of my opponents and eviscerate them. But that's not what brings in the masses. That's what scares them away. So I just want to give a quick thank you to Matthew. Think anyone who has had fantasy as a big part of their life, DFS or otherwise or anything, we should say thank you. Okay. Last thing before the listener questions, training camp does indeed start next week. Shit is getting real. I think if you haven't been in tune, following along all offseason, doing some drafts, you're likely already behind, like if I'm being honest. But if you don't start grinding now, you're 100% undoubtedly going to be behind. 2 ways to get up to speed. Digest all the content in our Draft Kit Pro. It's $50. It includes every kind of rankings and context and analysis for those rankings you need for every format. Also, if you buy that, you will get, during the season, our weekly rest of season top 150 and waiver wired articles. And then the other thing you can do to get ready is just do some drafts on Underdog Best Ball. You can do ones for $5. It gets you in the right space for drafting and understanding where guys go. It forces you to make decisions. It's just one of the best ways to get ready. If you buy Draft Kit Pro, you automatically get $10 in your Underdog account, whether you have an account or not yet. If you don't have an Underdog account yet, promo code ETR for the deposit match up to $100. All right, enough is enough. Let's get to everyone's favorite portion of the program, the listener questions. Producer Luke, hit the theme music. All right. We got an incredible amount of really, really good questions for this show. I'm not going to be able to get to them all, but I'm going to try to bang out a couple more solo pods over the next few weeks, and I hope to get to all of your questions during that time. So we're going to do 9 or 10 or so today, and hopefully get to the rest over the next few weeks. Question 1 from Burner Savant. He says, what are your thoughts on the great Gabe Davis debate and just the fact people are so fired up about it? Yeah, I think it's a nuanced discussion on Gabe Davis, which, as I'm sure many of you are well aware, Twitter is not the place for nuanced discussion. I really think, I think most things in life are like that, right? It's not black or white. It's not 100% or zero. It's not right or wrong. It's all probabilities and range of outcome. I always use the example, should I drink this expired milk? Well, that's not enough information to make a decision. I'm weighing some risk reward of how much do I need the milk versus how likely I am to get sick. I'm weighing how bad the sickness will be if I do get sick. I'm weighing how many days past the expiration date it is and a ton of other stuff. And honestly, because of all that nuance that to me is in part of every part of life, that's why I almost never use the reply button on Twitter. I never use the reply button except for jokes, because to me, Twitter is the best thing on the internet, but only if you know where to look. It's the best place for information and often the first information and some really fucking funny people too. But anyway, back to Gabe Davis. A lot of this debate, I think, is being led by his average draft position ADP on Underdog, which was up to 42.3 last I checked. That is vastly different than where I think Gabe Davis's ADP will settle in home leagues come late August / early September. The ADP there right now in home league formats is around 74.5 or so. And by the way, understanding ADP is just so important to get a feel for it ASAP. We have all the ADP data continuously updating in the draft kit. But anyways, the reason that I say it's nuanced is because in Underdog, where Gabe Davis goes so high, all the money is up top. First out of a zillion entries or second out of a zillion entries is really all that matters. So we are swinging for the fences in a lot of spots. And Gabe Davis's ceiling is absolutely massive. And also to get the Josh Allen, Gabe Davis stack, you got to pay a lot. And people are. But in a 10-team or 12-team league with standard payouts, I don't think I would take Gabe Davis at 42.3. To me, that's drafting him near his 80th or 90th percentile outcome. And in those smaller home type leagues, I'm looking for kind of more flourish plays, especially in that round 3-4 range. I get why Gabe Davis is polarizing. It's not like he was some mega prospect like, Calvin Ridley or Jamar Chase. He wasn't even as good of a prospect and didn't fare as well early career as Chris Godwin, who was such an obvious breakout candidate a few years back. So the Gabe Davis debate is fun. It's a fun debate to have for sure. I just don't think that Twitter is the right forum for it. All right, question 2. Actually, 2 of almost the same question from Fetty Wap. He says, do you ever think you'll make the ETR subscription in NFT? Instead, basically, it already is with a Discord verification. And Mr. Goodcat says, when ETR NFTs? Yeah, it's wild to get 2 separate questions on this. And I get what Fetty Wap and Mr. Goodcat are saying. And I love that people are actually looking for good use cases for this technology. Because, I'll tell you what, as I've been saying for the last year or however long the NFT boom hit, like, to me, PFP projects are not the use case. A fucking picture of a crypto dick butt or a fucking goon or a licking lion or a hairy horse or whatever the fuck else. To me, that's not a use case of this technology. That's people trying to scam for money under the guise of community. You can go back to some of my rants on all that shit from a while ago if you care. But yeah, I do think that NFT technology for membership can work. And yeah, we're basically doing it for Discord, as Fetty Wap noted. If you buy an ETR subscription, we verify our database of active accounts through Discord and you gain access. And honestly, like, it's been great. I thought I was worried that the Discord would be or become a hellscape for political takes and bitching and bad beat stories and other nonsense. But, so many people have told me that it's great to be a subscriber and the information is amazing and so valuable, but being a part of the Discord has actually been more valuable because of people sharing information and bouncing ideas of each other, just so many sharp people working together. So Discord's been great. But anyway, my issue with any NFT implementation right now with ETR is just like the tech is too confusing. It's just too hard. And I know I sound like a stone cold boomer, and I am a stone cold boomer, but I fucking absolutely dread anytime I have to use MetaMask or anything in crypto, really. It's just a goddamn nightmare. I'm petrified every time I'm going to lose all the money, or I just get so tilted. Someone sent me wrapped ether to my Trezor on accident, and I have absolutely zero clue how to get wrapped ether out of my Trezor, and like, fantasy football is hard enough. We can't have people also stressing about their token or their MetaMask passphrase or all this other stuff. So yeah, I hopefully you guys are listening to the reboot of the Three Donkeys pod. We've talked and we'll talk more about this kind of stuff. I just think widespread mainstream adoption for business, the technology needs more time to develop. And I do think that it will. But I guess we'll see. Question 3 from John Burrell. He says, futures NFL MVP dark horse. Yeah, I think the MVP market has been sucked pretty dry. We did a bunch of content and podcasts on awards when they were first released. Ryan Reynolds, of course, did his articles, and we had him on the podcast. Might have done another podcast on it. I can't remember exactly, but and that's with all betting for the most part. The softest lines are the openers, the closing lines. The closer you get to post, the more efficient the line's going to be. And I'd also add that I don't think MVP is the best place to look for value or dark horse because only quarterbacks are in play for the MVP. The player pool is just smaller, and I know there's some wild tail outcomes where like a running back has won or whatever, but it will almost certainly be a quarterback, and it will almost certainly be a quarterback on a team that wins 12 plus games. And that really narrows it down, creates a really small field. So dark horses and long shots, I don't know. Whereas coach of the year, rookie of the year, comeback player of the year, defensive player of the year, whatever. Those fields are much, much, much more wide open, and there isn't as much attention on it as MVP. So you can get some crazy prices and discrepancies across the market. Like shout out to me, Dan Campbell, 60-1 coach of the year, one time, please God. So like for MVP, Jalen Hurts was 50-1 or whatever. That's gone. I don't think 20-1 or 22-1 on Jalen Hurts is good. The Trey Lance stuff, Trey Lance is 50-1. I think that's decent, but nothing special. But yeah, beyond that, I don't think there's too much more to talk about with the MVP. Question 4 from Jacob White is a vasectomy related question. He says, when the nurse said to ejaculate 20 more times and then provide another sample, did you count out the 20 or did you guesstimate? The people need to know. Yeah, good question, Jacob. Jacob's referring to, I had the vasectomy, as you guys know, waited the amount of time that they said, went back and got tested. They said that I still had swimmers. I had to, she told me to ejaculate 20 more times and come back and do the test again, which, by the way, is like so ridiculously humiliating. But anyways, did I count the 20 out? I did not count because I just didn't think her request was really back tested or well thought out or mathematical in any way. I just think this is the standard that they tell people, go jerk 20 times and come back, whatever. They're just pulling that number out of their ass, sounds good. I don't think they're considering LSOE, load size over expectation. I don't think they're considering SCOE, sperm count over expectation. Like what if I started with 20x more sperm than the average man? And they definitely aren't considering ppm, pumps per minute. So Jacob, I just kind of winged it and hoped for the best. Worst case scenario was going through the humiliation of the test for the third time, which I was mentally prepared for. Question 5 from Coyote 18. He says, how shook were you on the discovery that Silva, in fact, does not mow his own grass? Honestly, man, and I swear I'm not doing a bit or a joke at all here. I'm being dead serious. I was fucking shocked, like absolutely floored from the revelation from Silva a couple weeks ago. Like this whole yard work thing had gone so far, more than 2 years of Silva mocking Leone and other spreadsheet virgins for not doing their own yard work. And I really did believe it. But just an incredible job by Silva. I mean, commitment to the bit is so important. And it's harder than it seems. When I was doing the Gender Labs LLC bit a lot, it would come up all the time. And not just on this podcast, like me and Bales would be out in Philly or whatever, and he'd tell people that I can help them achieve the desired gender of their child by coaching them through optimal sexual positions. And they'd believe me. And then we'd have a conversation about it. We'd get into it, and I'd tell them I can do in-person consultations during the intercourse for a fee. And I'd have to carry this bit on for like 20 minutes. And it's hard. So credit to Silva for carrying the bit on for 2+ years. Also, I hope everyone saw the video that we put on Twitter about this scandal revealed, that Evan doesn't actually mow his own lawn. I have to give a shout out to Steven Krupka, leads our digital media team. The video that he did on that was so good. And yeah, shout out to him. Question 6 from Max. He says, with the new addition of golf to ETR, I was wondering what sport you would like to eventually add to ETR next. Nothing comes to mind right now, Max. I honestly don't think people realize how hard it is to do projections, rankings, content, shows at the level we want it to be at for a sport. And I actually don't even mean just like the level we want it to be at. I mean a level that actually makes a difference, like actually helps people. Because of course we could just throw out some baseball rankings or whatever. We could do a show and talk and use some shitty model for projections that isn't backtested or whatever. We could throw some picks up. I like, Washington Nationals to win tomorrow, whatever. Like we could do that for every sport and make a ton more money. And even just for DFS, DraftKings is offering like 20 sports, it seems. But we have zero desire to do that for a lot of reasons, but namely, it's just not the right thing to do. So just for the NFL season-long rankings alone, we have me, Silva, Leone, Herzig, Jack Miller, Amico, Taylor, Mark Dang, Cody, Thorman, all in the mix. And so if we're not going to actually help people in a sport, we're not going to do it. So, I appreciate the interest everyone has in us doing more sports, but yeah, I guess we'll see, but nothing is planned. Question 7 from Steven. He says, do you think there's a positive expectation in slow versus fast drafts in underdog puppies? Puppy 2 is full, but slow drafts will continue as more info comes out. Sharper drafters in one versus the other. Oh, I mean, I don't think it's a question. There's like zero doubt to me that fast drafts are softer. It's way different when you have limited time to make a decision. You could get sniped and panic. You could not have time to think about your stacks. You don't have time to fully digest your correlations, position scarcity, which positions your opponents need. I mean, a ton of things. But in a slow draft, I mean, people can really take their time and make the best pick. They make so many fewer mistakes. I mean, shit, sometimes I sign up for a fast draft, I start drafting, and I fucking fall asleep. Or like my kid needs something and I just bail. Or I get a call for work and I do the rest on auto draft. And I'm sure I'm not the only one. I'm sure that happens to people all the time. And that's just obviously not happening in slow draft. So if you are good and composed and poised and focused for fast drafts, I suspect those are way more positive EV. Question 8 from Nihal. He says, can you talk about your upcoming tennis prop bets? Will they be streamed? What are the stakes, etc.? Yeah, I'm excited about this. I wasn't playing a ton of tennis since I moved to Denver. It's just tough to get good matches. I lost to Bass since I've been out here getting a 40-love lead in every game. I was just dead in that. I lost to Bass playing left-handed. I don't know if I'm completely dead in that, but probably. I played some other matches just for fun against people a bit worse than me. But over the last, I'd say 2 to 3 months, I've been working with a coach / ETR subs. Shout out to Greg. He's been great, and I've been playing with him 1 to 2 times a week, and I think I'm getting a lot better. So as for the bets, I'm playing Brandon Adams. You guys probably know him from poker and DFS. He's very, very good at tennis. I played him once before in a bet where I had to win at least 4 games across 2 sets, and I was able to emerge victorious there. In this bet, I'm getting plus 400, 4-1 on risk 3K in a best of 5 set match. I think I'm a way bigger dog than 4-1, but I like giving good action in tennis just because I love playing, And so like playing tennis bets may be my favorite thing in the world, which is a pathetic thing to say, but it really is. So yeah, I just wanted to get a match on the books against Brandon. So that'll be fun. And then I'm also playing Empire Maker. I'm sure everybody who plays DFS knows Empire Maker. I'm playing him. Both of these will be in late August. I don't think we've decided on stakes yet against Empire. Trying to get him to come on the pod to preview it. But we'll probably just play for 5K or 10K straight up. And I've actually never seen Empire play tennis, but he's seen me on streams before, and he thinks that we are close in level. So I'm excited about that one. It's so hard to find someone in tennis that's actually on the same level as you, and those are always fun matches. So that'll be a best of 3 match. As for streaming it, yeah, we'll try. We are in a remote video production company, so it's hard, but we'll at least try to get someone with a phone out there so people can bet and sweat if they want, for the fans. Question 9 from Pimple Popper. He says, takes on the French after your recent travels. He says, I went to Paris in college and the snootiness was off the charts, but in fairness to them, drunk US college guys were likely brutal. My wife wants to go, but nothing tilts me more than poor attitudes on expensive trips. Merci. Yeah, we're actually going to do the next 3 Donkeys pod about travel. Hope you guys are following along there with the 3 Donkeys pod. If you like these solo pods, I really think you will like the 3 Donkeys. It's just me, Bales, and Peter talking about life and gambling and investing and playing games or whatever. So be sure you're subscribed to the 3 Donkeys podcast on YouTube. It has its own channel on YouTube or on podcast platforms. As for traveling in general, though, like I've had the travel bug, I would say, since I was 19 or 20. Just absolutely love it. I mean, one of my favorite things to do is travel. And I'm not sure exactly why, because I despise sightseeing. Like, hate it. I hate going to museums. I hate going to quote unquote famous places. Like, no one on earth has ever walked through legendary museums faster than me. I just like walk through the Louvre. I just go from room to room looking for the exit. Like, how do I get out of here as fast as possible? I think I just like exploring or wandering in different cultures and places, have a beer in a strange place, do a hike in the area you've never seen. I don't really know. I actually think that my favorite form of traveling is traveling with a purpose. In other words, when I was younger, I went to EPT Copenhagen for poker. I went to EPT Prague. Those were awesome trips. I really want to go to London for Wimbledon. I want to go to, I don't even know where Crawley Town is, but if you listen to 3 Donkeys or whatever, you know that we own the Crawley Town now. And I'd love to go to Crawley Town and maybe go to Melbourne for the Australian Open tennis. But anyways, back to the original question about France specifically. I'd say Paris is probably my least favorite place I have ever been in terms of like Europe or places like that. And the French Riviera, we were in Nice and Monaco / Monte Carlo. I'd say that area is one of my favorite places I've ever been. I mean, just an absolutely incredible place. So yeah. Oh, as for the snootiness that Pimple Popper asked about, I don't know. I just think it's a different culture. Like, I'm certain that French people think that we are loud, obnoxious idiots as Americans, and we think they are snooty. And like, that doesn't really bother me at all. It's just a different culture. Like, every meal takes 2 to 3 hours because they don't think, or they don't care if anyone is in a rush. They just bring the drink whenever, they bring your food whenever, they bring the check whenever. And that's cool. That doesn't bother me. It's just different. The snootiness or the personalities of the people, it's just different. It's just different culture. I really, doesn't bother me. But anyways, yeah, it was a great trip, man. It was a great trip. I really feel refreshed and ready for war, aka NFL season now. All right, question 10, last question we're going to do today comes from Stockpile. He says, when are you changing your 15-year-old profile picture? Adam Levine, fantasy analyst by day, shitty pop star, babyface singer by night. Yeah, I got bad news for you, Stockpile. No chance, buddy. No chance I change the profile picture. Like, there's a better chance that I can sing and get women like Adam Levine than there is of me changing my profile picture. I legit plan to be on Twitter for the rest of my life, and I legit plan to die with this profile picture. Was I 25 years old at the time when the picture was taken? Yes. Have I lost a ton of hair since then? Also, yes. Is maintaining the same profile picture an important part of branding? I think so too. So honestly, I can't think of one good reason to change the profile picture. Feel free to hit me up if you want with a good reason to change the profile picture, and maybe I consider it, but I really, really, really doubt it. All right. That's going to do it for this podcast. We have 2 more podcasts coming up this week. Silva and I will be doing an interview with Nick Underhill, Saints beat writer, in the next episode. So much going on with the Saints, from the coaching change to suspensions to injuries to the Taysom Hill situation. So tons to talk to Nick about. I think that will be good. And then also we're going to go deep on running backs, kind of similar to what we did with Matt Harmon on wide receivers. We're going to go deep on running backs with me, Silva, and Dwayne McFarland in the last episode of the week. Be sure you are subscribed so you do not miss any. And most importantly, be sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel. On our YouTube channel, we are putting out content that is not coming through on this audio feed. So be sure you're subscribed. Over on our YouTube channel is indeed free for more content. 4, producer Luke. 4, Jerry. I am Adam. Good luck, everybody.